Stop undercutting Jesus' achievements. This is a man that once benched Sergio Aguero, okay? This is a good player. He's just been through a rough time. And now that it looks like he's resurrected, enjoy, rejoice. It's Christmas, like it's Easter on Christmas. Enjoy this shit. He's back. He's back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the Arsenal edition. This is your host, Dean, and today I am here with Gabby. What's going on, Gabby?
I'm back. Because we won.
Oh, okay. That's how it is, huh? It's results-based appearances. You're only showing up for wins now. That's crazy.
Listen, they had my head on Pluto for a little bit, so I said, let me choose peace.
I understand. At least you've come back. As far as I can tell, Mitch, I hope he's safe, but he was doing some white boy shit last weekend, and I haven't heard from him since. So I'm a little worried. So, Mitch, if you listen to the podcast still, as a person that's occasionally on the podcast, holla at your boy. In any event, we are here to talk about Arsenal 5, Crystal Palace 1. Or I should have said that the other way around, because we're at Selhurst Park instead of the Emirates, as we were earlier this week when we beat the same team 3-2. As always, we'll start with the lineup. Gabby, it was Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, number 5. Havertz in midfield. We haven't seen that in a while, at least not from the start of the game. Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka. Gabriel Jesus kept his place after his wonderful performance midweek with the hat-trick against the same defenders. And Gabriel Martinelli. Let's get straight to the business here. It made sense to you that Gabriel Jesus started, right?
I guess.
A hater.
Listen, I'm a true hater. I can't lie. I'm a true hater. Because I was thinking in my head, I said, this bullshit is going to make Mikel do this fucking Havertz LCM and Jesus at the 9 bullshit again. I just knew it.
That's crazy. Oh, ye of little faith. It was, even before that game ended, I think after his second goal, I was already texting with coach at the stadium. I was like, bro, Gabby Jesus got to start this weekend. Because it just made sense to me. If you score a hat-trick against the same defenders, they were dreaming about you the last 3 days, bro. Like Maxence Lacroix and Marc Guehi have been terrified to see Gabriel Jesus again. So even if Havertz had a hat-trick the game before and Jesus came in and had his own hat-trick, I'm playing the last guy they saw, the one that scared them. So, and I thought it was the right move by the manager. Now the risky part
confidence is a hell of a key. I mean, is a hell of a drug. Listen.
Yeah, there you go. So it works, and I think it applies. People often talk about confidence players. I feel like that's every player. Like no player can be at their best if they're not confident. So it just happens that some guys have the body language where it's very obvious that they're not confident, and Gabby Jesus happens to be one of them. But
to be fair, there are very, very few players who can be not at their best, but very good even when they're not confident.
Yeah,
so.
I personally don't know of any. I certainly wasn't one back when I played. If you're gonna have a good,
you played like it was in 1940
in the 80s and shit, man. Like you don't stumble into a good game. You kind of need to, people talk about like shit like visualization and all. Like you kind of need to want it to happen for it to happen. Like if you go into a game thinking, oh man, I stink and we're not gonna have a good game today. Well, you're probably not going to have a good game.
Listen, we'll come back to that because Gabriel Jesus' comments after the game. I said, "Oh, you're not talking about that. I don't score goals bullshit no more. I see. Thierry Henry laid into you and he started hitting in the box."
Yeah, he is so back and forth with what he thinks about him as a goal scorer. Like every other year he changes his mind. He's like, well, I'm not really a goals guy. Then he's a goals guy again. Like it's whatever. Just keep doing this until May, bro. Then we can talk. Anyway, Raheem Sterling, completely missing. Did that bother you any sense? News came out later.
What I was thinking was that Raheem would be on the bench because I actually thought he had an okay performance against Crystal Palace in the Cup. So I wanted to see him at least on the bench, not starting, but at least on the bench. And then when the lineup came out and he wasn't there in the squad at all, I was like, huh? I was so confused. And then, obviously the news came out that he was hurt. And I said, that makes so much more sense. Because if he had played the way he played in the Cup and then you don't put him in the squad at all, that would be very sus for me. I said, you better cancel that loan in January.
Yeah, I'm glad that we both agreed that he played well in the midweek. We didn't cover the game on the podcast because it's not a league game. and we can only care so much. We have lives. But I thought he was fantastic. If he scores any of the chances that he had in that game, people start talking about that performance as his breakout performance. He was that good for me personally. And you have to consider that he's playing essentially with the second string. There were 8 or 9 changes in that midweek team. So for him to put up a performance that good, given the circumstances, I thought it was a really good sign for his prospects with us. And I think he'll probably do something for us before he leaves. But he probably will leave at the end of his loan. That's for sure.
I hope so. I hope he does something before he leaves.
Wow, some Jamaican on Jamaican hate.
He needs to be on the bench against Chelsea. I'm telling you that right now. I need to see him slap. Just slap one. Just to restore the feeling.
Well, I don't think they'll let him because it's against the rules. You can't play against your loan. So, which is unfortunate.
Maybe ruining the vibes.
It's
change the rules.
Stupid ass rules and shit. But in any event, I thought Mikel with this lineup. I mean, once I saw 5 as a pivot and Havertz in midfield, it was very clear to me that he was essentially trying to replicate what we did in the second half against Crystal Palace in the midweek. And the big feature of that performance for me, obviously, was Gabriel Jesus scoring a hat trick. But outside of that, something that was sort of really obvious from a rewatch was how active Merino was all over the pitch, off the ball, and on the ball, but off the ball. He was moving into a lot of really interesting areas that I'm sure Mikel was looking at and thinking to himself, maybe I should try that Havertz thing again, because this worked really well against the same opponent. If I put a slightly more offensive player in the same positions, maybe we get even more. And the math, my friend, the math. I mean, 5 goals is more than 3. So, were you at all panicked? I mean, because when we first got Havertz, and he was clearly lacking confidence, and he was playing in midfield, and just recycling the ball constantly and very tentative. Given the fact that he hasn't been in the best of form lately, were you a little worried that we'd see, sort of like a repeat of something like that?
I wasn't necessarily worried that we see a repeat of bad form, but that's more because he was playing with Gabriel Jesus. While I do not rate Gabriel Jesus very highly, I think that they have a very good relationship together. Like when they're on the pitch together, they play well. You could see it if you go all the way back to watching that Luton game away from home. They played really well together. They link up really well together. And I think that when Gabriel Jesus is on the pitch, I think he should play with Havertz somewhere. The only problem was I was thinking if Martinelli is also playing, that's like a double whammy because he has a good relationship with Jesus, but a bad relationship with Havertz, which is funny. So I was like, we'll see how this works out. I don't know if Trossard maybe should have started a little bit, but yeah, I mean, we get a double 5 goals, so.
Yeah, I think the Luton game you mentioned is sort of like the blueprint for this strategy, in that it's basically playing 2 strikers. That's what it is. Havertz is basically a second striker that has a bunch of freedom to go wherever he wants. He'll combine vertically up the field. He'll combine horizontally, with the 8s. It's fun. I like it. It's maybe not my favorite version of Arsenal because it's a little too direct. It lacks a little bit of control, but again, you put him in midfield alongside 5. It's very clear that Mikel was like, you know what, we're doing the rock and roll shit tonight. Like, no, enough of this control shit that you happen to despise. You despise the control, so there you go. There you go. This was an interesting watch. For a 5-1 win, it was kind of stressful, I feel like. But yeah, 5 minutes in, first goal. Gabriel Jesus again continued from his hat trick over the weekend. MLS got fouled. The free kick got played short. Martinelli crossed the ball from the right, which was a feature of this game. He was crossing a lot from the right. The reason why that became more frequent, we'll get to later. It's very sad, but we'll get to it. But he crosses from the right. Gabriel and number 5 are competing in the middle of the box with the Palace defenders. The ball drops to Jesus. It sort of ricochets off Big Gabby. I don't know if he gets the assist there. Anyway,
he doesn't, but he should.
Yeah, he bangs in near post, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Gabby Jesus is officially back. You've already sort of, I wouldn't say apologize per se, because that's not what we're looking for here. The player wasn't good, so you kept saying he wasn't good. But he scores another goal in this game. We'll get to that as well. But has this flurry of goals from this player that you had essentially given up on changed your mind about how Arsenal needs to navigate the next couple months?
No. I know that's like very harsh on him, but if I want to be optimistic, I'd say I hope Gabriel Jesus, as much as I don't really rate him, I hope he kicks on and keeps playing the way he's playing, especially with that like I know it's a fake stat, but especially with that stat that we have not lost a game that he scored in. Score in every game for the rest of the season. Let's see what happens. But he obviously has a lot of, I don't even know what the word is. A lot of like things that we are missing in the squad. There's a lot of reasons why I love Havertz at the 9, but he obviously does not play like Gabriel Jesus. There's just something that we miss when he's not in there, and when he's in there and he's not playing well, it looks really bad because we need all of his abilities, all of his like ingenuity to do what we need to do. And it's exactly like when you're watching us without Martin sometimes, and you're talking about control, like we just don't look the same at all. We just don't look the same. But I will say, just a caveat. Shout out to Gabriel because he definitely makes that goal happen. Him blocking off that defender to make sure Gabriel Jesus gets to that ball. I saw what you did.
Yeah, that's real clutch. I think that's we should find in every possible phase of play that we can get Big Gabby into the opponent's box. We should do it because it's the last thing on earth that they want to see. Like he's probably the scariest individual in Arsenal starting 11 every week for the defenders on the other team. Like Sakai is scary.
That motherfucker is like Shaq, like in the box.
Pretty much he's dunking on fools every weekend. It feels like, but at a bare minimum, regarding Gabby Jesus, I would say him scoring that early essentially justified Mikel's decision to pick him again. You know, like again, from my perspective, if a player scores a hat trick, he needs to play the next game. So I'm glad it worked out, and it worked out quickly before people could start cussing him for missing chances. So because he's gonna miss chances, that's what he does.
Listen, he scored some good goals in this game, but the chance that he missed still, like I was like, how did you miss the easiest one? We'll get to that though.
It was the easiest across 2 games that he had. Ridiculous man. In any event, Crystal Palace equalized 6 minutes later. Ismail Assar, who had a relatively good game for them, he's a very good player. He gets the ball. Essentially, from an Arsenal perspective, our press failed in that moment. I don't understand why. And I suppose there's a larger philosophical question to discuss. But let's talk about the goal real quick. They break our press. Mitchell finds Sarr infield. No one really picks him up. Saliba is a little too passive there. He shoots. It's just a great finish. I have no complaints about the actual finish. His technique was wonderful. Great finish. Raya's far post. I don't think he could have saved it. Nobody could have saved that great finish. But I do think Saliba could have gotten closer, and I do think that our press failed up front. And my question for you, Gabby, is we've often complained about the way Arsenal gets a little passive after they take the lead in the game. Do you think we maybe turn the phasers up to 11 this time? It was too much? Because I was wondering before the goal went in, right before they broke our press, I was like, why are we pressing this high up? We already have the lead. Like, we don't need to prove anything just yet.
I think that for Arsenal, we can never seem to get the balance right. I think that's the problem, which is probably why Mikel is constantly tweaking our team. We can never seem to get the balance right. We either get way too complacent after we score, and we sit a little bit too deep, like we're defending right at the edge of our own box and just inviting pressure, or we get a little bit overzealous and we try to like grab another one and they hit us on the break. For this particular goal, I still I agree with the Raya thing. I do think he could have done a little bit better with his positioning, but it was just a great goal, but like a good shot to the far post. I kind of blame this one on Saliba, just because I think that if Gabriel is on Sarr instead of Saliba, he's a little bit more aggressive. He's going to push up and try to get the block in, put your body into him. You always know when Gabriel's defending you. But Saliba was tracking back a little bit. He was moving into his own box and daring him to shoot almost, which is what he did, and then he scored.
Yeah, he did score. Great goal. Saliba has a bit of the Van Dijks about him in that he's like, listen, I'm William Saliba, just give me the ball.
He was trying to defend with aura.
Yeah, like, he tries to do the aura thing. And Sarr was like, nah, bro, I'm from the suburbs of Paris, man. Like you, nigga. Said, like I know who the fuck you is. Like you don't
Sarr
scare me.
was like, you gonna remember me as a proper Barclays man.
Yeah, I mean, Sarr's been good for many years. I mean, I figured he'd be at no disrespect to Palace, I figured he'd be a little further up the food chain by now, because I remember him from Watford a couple years ago, and it was very clear back then that he was pretty good. So we'll see where he ends up. But great goal from him. Can't stand his guts. pretty quickly. Arsenal were back
We just
ahead.
can't keep clean sheets, but yeah.
What's that?
I said we just can't keep clean sheets, but
Yeah, we cannot keep clean sheets. Because I was actually fielding a text from a friend. What up, Kale? That was like, we just need a clean sheet from here. And my response was, yeah, that's what's been really jarring about this season. The fact that I trust our defense so much, but we don't keep clean sheets anymore. I find that very jarring. Because when your team keeps clean sheets on a consistent basis, you always have the confidence that you're going to win a game. Because if you don't concede, all you got to do is score. So one.
I mean, to be fair about that, the only thing is that this season is like, one, luck is not going our way. We're conceding goals that have, I don't really care about XG, but conceding goals that have like 0.1 XG or some crazy stuff like that. One shot, one goal is constantly going in, which is what I'm saying. And we always seem to be making like individual defensive mistakes, which is like something that has happened in a lot of Arsenal teams in the like previous years. But as a team, we're defending well. We just happen to be conceding these crazy goals.
Should be whack. But yeah, Gabby Jesus got the second goal. Martinelli sent a long looping corner in. Big Gabby won it at the far stick. 5 teed it up for Jesus, and he didn't dilly dally. He didn't try to twerk. He didn't try to dance. He just put his fucking foot through it. He, as Gabby likes to say, he locked his ankle.
I'm so glad we didn't have a pod after the first Crystal Palace game, because I said that the whole entire match. This is what happens when you lock your ankle.
That was Arsenal's 24th set piece goal in the last 2 seasons, best in Europe ahead of Leverkusen and Borussia Mönchengladbach, who are both on 18. I'm going to ask the Gabby Jesus question again, but in a different way. Like most Arsenal fans, I've come to the conclusion that we should probably do something in January. What it is, I don't know. I just think a good energy shakeup would be helpful for the rest of the season. In an ideal world, it would be buying today's hat trick hero for Newcastle, Alexander Isak. But I don't think that's a realistic thing to project in January.
I don't think it's realistic in the summer either. But go on.
There you go. So you clearly want us to do something. For me, Gabby Jesus resurrecting himself means that I'm not particularly concerned with us doing something in the 9 spot. I'm more concerned with us doing something maybe on one of the wings. If Sterling is not going to give
for a
shit.
winger, I've been begging for a winner since the summer.
So who are you thinking of, if anybody?
I would love for us to do. We just got linked with. I know it's probably fake. Because Arsenal never do this, but we just got linked with Alberto. I always say his name wrong, but Moliero. Yeah,
for Las Palmas.
At Las Palmas.
Yeah.
And I can't lie, I'm not a comp person, but the comps were moving me. I can't lie. I would love for us to do a little, like, just test their metal just a little bit. Like, see if you can get him now.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a good player. He we've mentioned him on the other pod, the big pod with the pink covers, the main pod, if you will. And he's definitely been the star player for Las Palmas over the last 2 seasons. He was initially compared to Pedri. He's not quite Pedri. He's way more offensive than Pedri. He doesn't have the size or the same range in midfield, but he would definitely be a tasty proposition. I think he's a sort of player that unlocks so many things if you add him to your squad.
Yeah.
As long as you play him.
Yeah.
My concern is
I feel like he would restore the feeling just a little bit like Santi. And I love Santi.
He definitely gives off that energy a little bit. I think my concern is that he might not adjust quickly enough to be useful this season. Because he is a smaller guy, and we still have Fabio Vieira on the payroll. So it's like, I don't know. We gotta before we get another one of these little playmakers for us, we need to sort that situation out and get some money back on that. But we'll see. I think ultimately the Gabby Jesus thing makes me want more of a winger than a striker. But I'm not get whatever. Just bring something in. Just shake it up.
Yeah, something has to be done. I just think that they have to do. I say Moliero because one, I want him, but I think that they have to do something at the wing specifically rather than striker, and also you have to think outside of the box. You just like we did with Trossard. You didn't get who you originally wanted, and you ended up getting something who was. I'll say better. I'll just say better. It was better.
You know what? This is a discussion for another podcast on another day. But I'll tell you this much. I appreciate everything Trossard has done for this club, and I hope he does many more good things for us. but I'd still much rather we got Madrid. Like, forgetting this whole drug thing that happened, I'd much rather have that talent in the squad. I'd rather have that.
I don't care what they say. That Chelsea gave that to him. I know what I see.
Yeah, they're trying to get out of their contract. They're trying to get out of the 8 years. They're like, this
they're not slick.
This boy trash. We cannot get him out of this contract. We need to annul the contract by giving him drugs. Like, I don't know, like what did they catch him doing? It doesn't matter. He's not an Arsenal player. In any event, great goal from Arsenal, 2-1 up. Then everything went wrong because Bukayo Saka went to cross the ball and clutch at his hamstring.
Oh, before we start talking about the sadness, can I just say, Gabriel Jesus, that was a great finish for the second goal. Like, you picked it in, like, top bins. You know what I mean? Like, place the ball rather than just, I mean, he did kind of smash to it, but, like, it was a very good finish. Yes. So now we can talk about sadness.
Yes, and back to the sadness. Unfortunately, it looks like, I mean, the optimistic part of me is saying that it's one of those things where, like, he kicked through the ball, he felt it. In my mind, I'm like, at least it didn't happen while he was at full sprint. Those are the ones that really scare me. That's the sort of thing that happened to Reece Nelson in the game before Fulham played us, and he's out for a long time. So I'm hoping that Bukayo just kind of felt it, and it's familiar to him because he has had hamstring trouble in the past. He does get kicked a lot. But where are you emotionally? Are you able to enjoy this win to your full capacity given what happened?
Listen, the hater in me was like, I think I even tweeted this. I was like, Saka had to die for, like, Jesus to live. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Like, I just, in my head, I was like, there's no way you guys are getting Jesus back and I'm losing Saka. Like, this is the worst.
Hey, man, I don't understand this you guys shit. We all on the same team, motherfucker. What's wrong with you? But yeah, that was not the sight I wanted to see. But it happened.
I think it was the same hamstring that he got injured for when he was playing for England earlier this year, which is unfortunate because that means it's probably a niggling thing that he was probably ignoring and playing through, and now it's like he can't ignore it. And Saka is not somebody, I know people like to make their stupid jokes about him limping and stuff like that, but he's not somebody who goes down easily. He when he immediately put his hand up, I was like, this is not good.
Yeah. But he walked off under his own power, and I don't know. He's a tough kid. I'm sure he'll be back next week. I mean, it's not as if he stopped being soap all of a sudden. Mikel is going to wash the soap, okay?
Oh,
that's how it goes, man. He'll be back next week. But in any event, Gabriel Martinelli switched over to the right wing, and Leandro Trossard came on to the left wing, which was absolutely the right thing to do, because if you've ever seen Trossard play on the right, oh boy.
Reddish?
Oh boy. Like, if you're a Belgian listener of this podcast, you know exactly what we're talking about, But in any event, let's talk about Martinelli. I think he's had several performances this season that were quite decent, that just didn't have the end product to get him the credit that he probably deserved. Today, he made a lot of great crosses. Even before this point, he'd been having a good game on the left side of the field. And I thought his game only got better after he went to the right. What did you make of it?
I agree. I think this is his best performance this season so far, genuinely. Even if he didn't get that goal, which we'll talk about, I still think this is his best performance. He was really good on the right. And I think it's because the right is just more settled, You have Odegaard over there and Timber, but he just looked like I almost said at peace.
No, that's the right terminology, honestly. Everything just sort of made sense to him. It felt like his angles were correct. He was like, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't trying so hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna fake like I'm cutting in onto my weak foot. If they hesitate, I'm going on my strong foot. Then I'm either gonna cross it. If I can get across him, I'll shoot it. It just simplified his game. And he just became a touchline winger.
I agree.
And the crossing was very accurate. It wasn't just hit and hope that shit either, So I was
not crossing inshallah.
Yeah, it wasn't cross and inshallah. It was cross and, walk to confession together, So yeah, he did a really good job. Quick detour. I thought, weirdly enough, I enjoy talking about refs, not necessarily because they make me upset, but because I think refereeing is something worth evaluating. It's nice to look at a ref and say he's having a good game or he's fucking terrible. And Simon Hooper, with his little bald ass, I thought he actually had a really good game. because what brings us up is he booked Timber for time wasting around the, I don't know, like the 30th minute of the first half. And fair enough. We do take quite a while over these throw-ins, like
Listen, I actually wrote that on my notes about the throw-ins because I said something needs to be done.
It's crazy. It's clearly instruction-based. Ben White started it first, and literally every fullback we have, Miles, Calafiori, I think Calafiori actually speeds it up a little bit, but pretty much everyone that plays fullback for us takes forever over the throw-ins. And I'm sure there's a reason behind it. It's one of the things I don't particularly enjoy about our team. I don't like it, but again, you can't argue with the results. The team has been playing well for most of the last 2 to 3 years. So if we have to risk some yellow cards every now and again, cool. However, I thought his general performance was really good. It was the kind of performance from a referee that I would like to see referees do more at the Emirates when we're hosting these little ass teams that come over to waste time. And like, he sped the game up, like Raya was taking his time over goal kicks. He spoke to him pretty early. He booked Timber. The fans obviously did their part, with all the chanting and yelling and, but ultimately I thought it was a really good refereeing performance, at least until an incident much later in the game, but we'll get to that. Another goal, 38th minute, Kai Havertz, corner led to Big Gabby heading against the bar in the second phase. Martinelli crossed, as we mentioned, and Jesus headed that cross against the post. Havertz tucked in the rebound, and it was a celebration with the ball under the belly because Arsenal players are practicing their shooting in the wrong arena. Like, when y'all
really
niggas score some goals where they really matter, okay? Stop nutting the motherfuckers, man. Fuck wrong with y'all. But your boy Kai, man, again, I think that goal by itself justifies his inclusion in the role that he played today. What do you make of it?
I thought he played really good today. And not just. I know there's somebody who said something about him attacking wise. He wasn't really in the build up play, but I thought he was really good in on both sides of the ball. To be honest, it just happened to be the other players were getting more of the ball than him, in my opinion. He was in right place, right time, which is what I always want to see from my striker, even though he wasn't playing striker today. And yeah, and like I said, Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz, they're like, one of them is going to score when they play together. But pretty Martinelli, that was a great ball. I can't lie. That was a great ball on his head top. He definitely should have scored that. But at least we scored it in the end.
Yeah, at least he got it on, I guess. I don't know if you call hitting the bar on target, but I'll take it. Like, there's nothing I despise more than a striker being in the right position to test the goalkeeper and not testing the goalkeeper.
I mean, to be fair, if he didn't get it on target, if he did get it on target, it would have been a goal. Like, because that's how close it was.
Right. It was an inch away from going in. But as far as Havertz goes, I think just generally, like, no matter where he plays on the pitch, he's never. If a team is having a good game, the only way it's going to look as if Kai Havertz is the best player on the pitch is if he's getting end product. Otherwise, he's. If a team is an engine, Kai Havertz is engine lubricant. He's not an actual. He's not an actual part of the engine. But the engine really don't run well without lubricant. You don't like the mechanical analogy?
Oh, German efficiency. That's crazy.
There you go. Like, German efficiency. Like, he makes things work better. He's a minimalist. He's just here, you touch, I touch, we move on. Like, I come into the build-up, I give it up, I run into space, I make sacrificial runs. That's what he does. He's never really going to be the guy scoring a hat-trick or running through the midfield, even though we saw some of that today as well, which was really nice because his legs are long as shit. So when he can really open up, it looks like something good's going to happen,
I think he's very much like him and Marino both get like the short end of the stick that way from the fans because they're both minimalists. They just want to keep the team ticking. So yeah, if they don't get end product or if you don't feel like you're getting anything from them aesthetically, you feel like most fans don't feel like they're not doing anything. But if you rewatch those games, they play really well.
They're doing a lot.
Yeah, they're doing a lot.
And here's the other thing, like the system has been tweaked over time, but from the time that Granit Xhaka became the left 8, the proverbial left 8, it's always been a very low touch role in this team. Like, whoever is playing that role is really just getting up and down the field a lot and supporting play in various phases. They're not really an on-ball person. Like, now when they get on the ball, the expectations that they'll give us end product and so on and so forth and fill gaps on defense. But for the most part, it's a low touch role. So you can't expect Marino or Havertz or anybody playing in that role, which is why when people want the whole Odegaard, Nwaneri, Rice midfield, I'm just like, somebody's getting marginalized. All three of them can't be high touch players. It doesn't work that way, So what you want is players that are comfortable with that kind of role. Like if you put a player like Ethan as the left 8, he's not going to be happy in that role. He needs to touch the ball more to be happy as a player. It's not an ego thing. It's the kind of player he is. Like you want that player on the ball a lot as opposed to very little. Havertz, I don't mind him taking breaks or, looking like he's not involved because he's very, very involved. You're just not seeing it unless you rewatch the game. My man of the match was our goalkeeper, David Raya. I thought he made some tremendous saves in this game, starting with the Saliba error. Saliba rarely seems unsettled, and I wouldn't even go as far as to say he was unsettled in this game, but Mateta had one or two good moments in this game against both of our center backs because Mateta is a big boy. Like he tucks his shirt in, but he's a big boy.
A big bald man.
He's a big bald big boy, and he puts some muscles on the guys. And I feel like Saliba was a little skittish. There was a moment where Five gave him the ball. Best case scenario, you pause and find someone to pass it to. Better case in that situation, you probably just boot it, because you're the last man. He tries to, do something clever, which is why we love him. But he ends up giving the ball to Ismail Assar. Assar sets Mateta up. Raya dabs at his feet, saves the situation. Very early in the second half, cross came in from the right side from, I think it was Kamara. Crosses the ball in. Mateta heads it, then Sarr heads it again. Raya saves that. Then shortly after that, because Palace came out from halftime pretty intense, like they came to play. I'll give them credit for that. They got beat badly, but they did come to play today. Finally, Mateta again runs through our midfield, which was pretty loose without Declan Rice today, or Marino, by the way, because people forget that sort of Marino's function. The left eight's function is to fill those gaps. Like Kai Havertz, love him. He'll get there, but he's not a natural tackler, So in any event, Mateta took a really good shot. Raya makes another excellent save and saves a rebound header from Ismail Assar. So for me, I feel as if this game could have been very different. It could have been the vibes were already pretty anxious and derby-like, but I feel like without David Raya today, who at some points in the season was being mentioned as our player of the season to that point, I feel like without him today, we don't win this game. Am I being dramatic?
No, you're not. I love Raya. I love Raya. I say that all the time because you don't notice that you have a good goalkeeper like until you're in the moments, because we're a really good team, a top 6 team who are constantly going for the title for the last 3 years. And you notice a difference between him and Ramsdale. You do. When we had Ramsdale, you constantly felt like when you were getting peppered, he was good. But like in the moments where you should save the one shot to be calm, like he was not good in those moments. And I think David Raya is almost always good in those moments. It's very rare that he has moments where he just like fucks it. Which is funny enough, he did that about like against Luton away last year.
He did fuck it at one point today. He did he played a pass in the box that he probably shouldn't have played. I forget who he played it to, but that person got ran over.
Hardy.
Yeah, the ball came back, it got cleared, we got lucky, but this will happen with the style we play. But overall, I feel as if when we had a different goalkeeper, there were more games like this that had this feel. Like forget the score, just the feel of the game where it was like, oh, we are probably going to concede at some point. Raya, even though we've conceded a lot this season, I never really feel like we're going to concede until the ball goes in the net. I'm just like, damn, we conceded. What the fuck? So I appreciate that little Spanish man. I really do.
Same. I love him so much. Like I think our backline really trusts him back there. So like, I think they even look confused or surprised when they concede sometimes because they're like, oh shit, that went in. Like,
yeah. That said, before we started recording, you'd mentioned that you noticed something about Raya's play that you felt like he needed to improve. You want to go on that a little bit?
What did I say? I be talking shit sometimes.
About his position at the near post.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I thought for the Sarr goal, while I do, like I said already, I do think that was a great goal, far post finish, but like his positioning at the near post sometimes is so far forward. he positions himself too close to his post almost. I feel like if you position yourself, give yourself a little bit of gap, just a little bit. I think he has the like really good reflexing saving. So if it comes near post, I trust that you're going to save it most likely. But I don't think he gives himself enough space to cover that far post. If you cover that far post and they curl it around you, fair enough.
Fair play.
Great finish.
Fair play. Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, if you were a step over, just a step, I think you get your fingertips to that. I really do.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the goal Mateta scored in midweek. You know, when Kivior made the mistake with the header and
I agree.
He got bodied. I felt like Raya was just so far over. It's like, bro, if you just, you know, just 1 foot this way, maybe you save that. You know, like I'm not blaming you for the goal, but maybe you could have been better positioned, you know. So like with everybody else on the team, there's room for improvement. But he is a wonderful goalkeeper. And I think just because he's 5'11" or however tall he is, he's always going to be underrated. He's always going to be underrated. Like, you can't be that short and have the general public look at you as like the only goalkeeper that really beat those allegations of being too little was Iker Casillas during his peak. Otherwise, you got to be a big dude for people to really rate you as a good goalkeeper. Like Ederson, Allison, you know, like people keep mentioning those dudes, but really,
unless you're Donnarumma.
Yeah, and he used to be good, you know.
That guy got his ass beat this weekend, so that face, I'm so sorry. I take it back.
We hope his face heals up very quickly.
I hope he's okay, because Staples was crazy.
That was brutal. I don't know. Well, you know, that's PSG's problem. Let's move on. Our first sub happened in the 58th minute, before the hour mark. That's very rare. MLS and Havertz came off for Calafiori and Rice. The Havertz one was particularly surprising for me because he never comes off. Any you want to push any agenda or narrative based on this?
Push any agenda? Listen, you know the agenda I'm going to say, but I'll start with MLS. How about that? I thought he played really well today. Like he was one of my unsung heroes. And really every time he plays, I think he plays really well. He's very extremely press resistant. Like every time he has the ball at his feet and somebody's sprinting at him, he just seems to wriggle out of pressure, and I'm just or get the foul. And I'm just like, who are you balling? Like, you know, like you're just ball. Like, you don't look out of place at all in this 11. And I'm really proud of him, genuinely. I hope we don't play him into the ground. But I'm glad that he's here because I don't think a lot of people like Kivior at the left back. And I think he would struggle exactly. And I think he would struggle a lot more. But I'm glad that MLS is there so Calafiori can have a little bit more space to come back. Like, you know, like not having to rush him back is important.
Yeah. I think MLS is a talent on par with Ethan for me. Like they're both, you know, they play different positions, you know, and the guy that gets the goals is always going to get more attention. But I think MLS is just as big a talent. Like I knew about him before I knew about Ethan, and I've been waiting for him to come into the team. And I also feel as if even though he'll almost only get minutes at left back this season, I do think that once Five's contract expires in the summer, and maybe when Jorginho leaves, he's next up to get a crack at that.
I would love to see that. I would love to see him in the middle.
And a lot of people seem to think that, you know, I mean, I don't know. He looks pretty sturdy to me. You see the way he shrugged. I mean, he shrugged Will Hughes off 2 times before I even sat down to watch the game. And I just think the sky's the limit for him. You know, he's very robust. As a criticism of his game so far, and it happened today, I think and this is a good quality in a player, he's so focused on passing the ball vertically that he often misses out on chances to sort of create overloads on the other side of the field because he just wants to go forward. He never wants to go sideways. And there are lots of opportunities where going sideways is actually the right decision because someone is just open and they have space to run into that you have created by drawing someone to you. But when he gets it right, he really gets it right. And he's one of those, I think his inclusion in the team has almost coincided with us attacking through the middle more because he likes to pass vertically so much. Miles, play it out to your winger.
And he finds himself in that space too because he's at left back. And our left back always finds himself in that space.
Right, and he inverts. And interestingly enough, in the prior fixture against Crystal Palace, when he came on as a sub, he came on for Tierney, and he stayed wide for most of that game. And he looked pretty good playing as a wide fullback as well. You know, so I'm glad we have him. He's clearly second on the depth chart at left back after Calafiori for me. And if
Agreed.
he's more robust, he might end up getting more minutes, because
We got to
Calafiori.
get that Ukrainian out of here.
Goal 2 minutes after the subs. Martinelli this time. Gabriel found Trossard in space down the left with a lovely pass. You love bragging about your boys passing, so I'll let you do that in a moment here. Trossard crossed it low for Jesus, who should have scored his hat-trick goal. The easiest chance of the week for him.
The easiest time.
He slams it straight at Henderson. The rebound falls to Rice, who he shoots the ball. Let's be honest. He shoots with his left. And it was essentially his first touch in the game. He traps it. He shoots it. Ends up being a good cross from Martinelli. 4-1 to the Arsenal. Yeah, I'll let you wax lyrical because I know you want to start with that pass from the back.
Gabriel, I love you so much. Every time he's not playing, I miss him. I know that I talk about KBR's passing being one of his best attributes, but Gabriel's passing we talk so much about everything about Gabriel with his defending, how tight he is to his players, how much he can shrug off like physicality, his heading of the ball in the box on corners, but like his passing is so good. It's so underrated. And I just feel like it's kind of like you watch Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard sometimes. Like Declan Rice is more of a carrier of the ball, and I feel like that's more Saliba. So what you saw today, Saliba likes to run into the midfield and try to get past people, and Gabriel kind of just wants to stay still and then pass. He just wants to look at who's open and then make that pass, and he almost often hits that person.
Yeah, like it's interesting you describe the center backs that way because I actually view them as the opposite. Like Saliba,
Really?
passer, yeah, Saliba. That's why
I think he's a good passer, but I think he likes to run more. I think
I don't think he actually. Well, I don't know. Maybe he likes to run more, but he won't. He's essentially the first playmaker on the team. It's Raya, then it's him, then it's he's part of the spine, and he's more the passer than Gabriel is. Like at least volume wise, he's more the passer. But I would say Gabriel's passing is for this group of Arsenal players, for this squad, is the most obvious development point for any player in the squad. I remember when he showed up, he clearly had passing talent from Lille back in France. But when he got to the Premier League level, he was more of a hacker. He was just physicality, get in there, rash tackles, like.
He's playing next to Mustafi though.
Well, he played next to David Luiz, it was a lot of he was a pressing trigger. Like when teams would want to press us, he was the one they would try to press because he couldn't pass to the same standard as the other players in our backline. And now he's as good as anybody at passing. Like those over the top balls are his specialty. He hits them. He hits one of those, one good one at least once a game. And
I agree.
For once, Trossard did not fuck it up because that little raccoon has been pissing me off since May. Okay,
I can see it.
Like his general play is just ridiculous. Like when he does something reasonable or good that doesn't involve him shooting the ball, I'm surprised because he takes too many touches. He whatever. In any event, he did the right thing in this instance. Gabby Jesus, I wouldn't say reverted to type, but he did some dumb shit because he should have finished that. I'm glad we got the goal. I'm glad Martinelli got the goal because I think given how much Martinelli has sort of become an issue with the fan base, end product tends to shut all that shit up. Because again, like you said earlier, this was maybe his best game of the season, and it's nice that he has a goal to sort of seal it. And I probably should have asked you a question after that, but I didn't.
I mean, it was a good shot by Rice. I'll say that. Which he does take a shot that's similar that goes in. I think it might have squeezed in. I think the goalkeeper probably saves it. If it maybe. But I like the redirection because then you just goalkeeper's completely out of it. You're like I said, the Kai goal, right place, right time. Get your touch, steal it. Get yourself something to kick on because I feel like earlier in the season, Martinelli got one or two goals, and it just he's never really kicked on from there. And I think, unfortunately, now that Saka might be hurt for a while, we don't know that for sure, but we're waiting on whatever scans. I think you just continue to play him on the right.
Absolutely.
Play Martinelli on the right because he looks so much better on that side. And I think if he continues to play on the right, he actually will kick on.
I think so. And I think it's not even a thing where he has to stay there permanently. Obviously, once Sakai is back, he's moving his ass out of there. But if a player can play consistently enough in a position to sort of gain his confidence and rhythm back, it doesn't really matter where you put him after that. Like, look at people don't like seeing Kai Havertz in midfield for a variety of reasons, but nobody's complaining today, because he's a confident player that is useful wherever you put him on the field, So, and he gained that confidence mostly from playing as a striker, not as a midfielder like he did today, So I'm hoping the same sort of formula works for Martinelli, because it's actually been probably the most puzzling thing about this team that Martinelli hasn't kicked on, because there's so much talent in that boy. And it seemed like it was a sure thing like 2 or 3 seasons ago that he was going to be a killer, in this league, So for him to just be going through these stretches of, we're having all these debates about why he's not playing well, and, oh, he's stuck on the touchline, and, oh, the left side isn't working, and, oh, like, when you play well, it don't fucking matter. People not talking about all this shit. They're just talking about the fact that you played well. The end. Back to the reffing. Nathaniel Klein tried to murder our pretty Italian man. He put his studs into Bobby California's ankle. And Bobby
Why does this guy have so many nicknames?
Who? What did I say?
Why does he have so many nicknames? We have California. I've seen I say calamari. I've seen somebody else say
cauliflower, calaputa.
Cauliflower.
Yeah. Anything that starts with a C and has mad syllables is,
It's actually crazy.
Conflagration, whatever, man. He cooked the pasta, man. He cooked the pasta. That's what it is. But I was really worried. He yelled loud. Like, I thought he was hurt.
Yeah, I was scared too, because he definitely yelled loud and called for like attention, and I was like, oh no, please no, like, because it's not even like he'd been playing the whole game and he was like a little tired or something like that. We're trying to niggle an injury, but like he just came on.
Right.
He just came on. So in my mind, I'm like, if he just came on and you hurt him, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, I'm gonna lose my mind, because I would have just been like, just keep Lewis-Skelly out there. This is some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I also do think that was a red card. It just was a red. It was late, studs up into the ankle. I've seen it happen to Tommy before, which pissed me off then too. And I just always feel like, I know that you gave the referee a little bit of props for just kind of just handling the game, but I always feel like the punishment is always harsher for Arsenal. If it was an Arsenal player who had done that, I just know in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't think we get away with that. I just don't think. And even the commentators, at least on the English broadcast, the commentators were like, I think they might go to the monitor for this. That was a rash tackle. And then after they don't go to the monitor, he was like, no, actually, let me change my mind. I was like, nah, you should have stuck to your first decision. That was a red card.
That's a directive from on top at this point. Like, the way the commentators deal with the ref stuff is ridiculous. That said, I think from just a context standpoint, I can sort of understand why that was only a yellow. The home team is already losing by 4. The game is going to be over in 10 minutes. Oliver Glasner is ready to sub this motherfucker out anyway. Like, why make your trip home as a ref hot because you want to give somebody a red card? Yes, he deserved it, but Simon Hooper is like, I don't know, man. These niggas already lost. I'm just trying to get home and have my pints in peace. So I get it. If this was a different scoreline, if it was a different kind of game, and we don't get that call, I'd be a lot madder about it. But I'm just glad Calafiori seems to be all right afterwards. The final goal of the game went in the 84th minute. This one from Declan Rice. And Calafiori was involved. He plays the ball in from the left wing. Rice takes it on the turn, which I like. I think him taking the ball on the turn is the main reason for me why he keeps playing further up the field than he should. Arteta wants him to develop that skill so that when he moves back to the stick, it's natural to him. And this was one of those instances where I'm like, I think it's working. Lovely finish.
Listen, I can't lie. I know you can't say this, and you'll probably say pause. But sexy people doing sexy things, because that was crazy. Touch and turn to shoot. I was like, that just moved me.
I think you're always as a connoisseur of the pause policies. You're always allowed to say some pause-worthy shit if you're not a man. If you're a woman, it's fine. It's completely fine.
To be fair, I did almost tweet, like, you guys got in my head the other day, because I almost tweeted today when on the goal that Gabriel plays the pass. I said, Gabriel's balls? And then I said, wait, hold on. Let me backtrack and say something else.
We apologize. We should be better people, but we won't be. In any event, the game ended shortly afterwards, 5-1 to the Arsenal. The open play drought is over. We still got some set pieces because that's what we like. We're a set piece FC. How are you feeling about the season at this point? We're currently third in the table after 17 games with 33 points. One behind Chelsea in second, who have played 16 games. They'll be playing tomorrow on 34 points, and Liverpool are ahead of us by 3 points, but they have 2 games in hand. They will be playing 1 game tomorrow. And the Merseyside derby that they skipped out on will happen in February, I believe. How are you feeling overall about where we are on the season at this point, now that we've ended the bad period, it feels like?
I was going to say, it feels like.
Well, the next game is Ipswich away. I don't want to be disrespectful to them. Well, not Ipswich away. I think, we're hosting Ipswich on Friday, December the 27th. Yeah. So one would think that we have a good chance of winning that game. So if we go on a run from here, how are you feeling about the season?
If we go on a run from here, I would feel, I will say I will feel better. I will feel better about the way we played because I feel like we just never start the season well. For some reason, we just can't seem to kick on from the beginning of the season. We always seem to like grab our footing towards December and January. But I would feel even better if Chelsea weren't above us. I need them to get the fuck out of here. Hate them down. If it was just us and Liverpool at the top, I'd feel all right. However, I will say, depending on what happens with Saka, we will see. We will see. Because if we lose any more people, I'll just be like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens.
I just got an unfortunate update. One of the friends just said that seeing Saka on crutches is so fucking brutal. So, yeah, I guess they're just keeping the weight off it. Well, crutches? He was holding his hamstring. I'm a little confused. Anyway, I hope he's back for Ipswich. Because, I mean, again, he's Mikel Soap, man. Forever, baby. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. I kind of hinted at what I think will happen in the Ipswich game on Friday. Where are you with that? What do you expect?
If Mikel knows what's good for him, he'll put Martinelli on the right. Because Ipswich, to be fair to Ipswich, they play open football. They're not sitting 10 men, 11 men behind the ball and letting you break them down. They want to run at you. You know what I mean? So if you're going to play open football, play expansive football with us then. And I think that we should be playing to actually be clinical. If you keep playing Gabriel Jesus, which he probably will play him again at the 9. I can't see him putting. I don't see him putting him on the bench. Yeah. So
just so you know, Gabby, Gabriel Jesus is not sitting until he doesn't score for 2 or 3 games in a row. He's going to keep playing. He's in the team now. Just accept it. Get happy with it. Enjoy it.
Listen, as long as you keep scoring, I'll put my hands up. I said, listen, score until the end of the season, and then we'll see. But until I see consistency, I won't believe in him. So,
well, 5 goals.
Show me some consistency.
That's pretty.
5 goals until we've seen Eddie score a hat trick against Forest. Don't
hey man, hey. Eddie was on that field today. He didn't score a hat trick. Stop undercutting Jesus' achievements. This is a man that once benched Sergio Aguero. Okay, this is a good player. He's just been through a rough time, and now that it looks like he's resurrected, enjoy, rejoice. It's Christmas, it's Easter on Christmas. Enjoy this shit. He's back. He's back.
Listen, like I said, if you can give me that 4 good months like you did at the beginning of your tenure at Arsenal, we'll see where we're at.
That will win us the league.
Exactly, and we'll see where we're at the end of the season. If you can give me that, and I honestly squeeze a little bit more out of Martinelli, then we should be all right.
It'll be very well said. As always, Gabby, thank you for joining me. This has been a fantastic time. It's always nice.
Wait, before we log off, because I have a bone to pick with you, and I need the viewers to hear this.
Okay.
This man made me record a pod, by the way, and then didn't tweet about it and put it on no socials, no nothing. He probably doesn't even remember he did that shit.
When did this happen?
Yeah. When did this happen? That was a Fulham game. My God.
Damn, that's disappointing. It was probably because the results sucked or something. And
exactly. I said you made me talk about this damn shitty ass Fulham game, and then not even tweet about it or nothing. No clips, no nothing.
Well, you got us back by not showing up for the last game because we didn't win against Everton. So there you go. We're even now, I suppose. But thank you for joining me as always. And you know what? Tell the people.
Peace.
Peace. Hey folks, this is Dean from the Shirtless Plantain Show. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and follow us on all our socials. You can see them right beneath our recordings in every video. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.